Hey, you beautiful buccaneers, Falcore here. I thought I'd speak on a subject about someone close to all of our hearts and minds, as I get a lot of questions asked about him, and surprisingly, where is he? All of that will be answered, but it goes without saying, if you haven't done all of the new Tall Tales yet, spoilers ahead. Duke. A beautiful stature of a man who was once a loyal quest giver to offer us a distraction from the trading companies for quite some time. Part of the Bilge Rat posse, and he also managed to be at every outpost prior to us arriving. Duke has always been an extension of our pirates. He is the embodiment of our pirate nature, a bumbling lunatic who strives for adventure wherever it may call you. He's also a masochist and created several skeletal thrones for us to all pull our hair out with. Duke for the longest time was always seen at outposts, always with a smile on his face and a tankard in his hand, but over time he started to change. He started to question what it was that he was doing. He got wound up in some pretty serious nonsense and aligned himself with Stitcher Jim, an ex-member of the Forsaken Alliance that were responsible for finding the Devil's Roar, and then he betrayed them. He was also good friends with Rathbone long before he became the Gold Hoarder, and Jim was partly responsible for creating the Gold Hoarder Alliance. He's never been trusted, always has a darker motive, and Duke fell for his charm, and made the poor choice of making him a bilge rat and replacing him for some time. However, Duke was unaware with Jim's alliance with the Masked Stranger, and both Jim and the Masked Stranger manipulated Duke to do their bidding, by helping them essentially to fund the construction of Reaper's hideout. Eventually, Duke returned, but he returned as a husk of his former self. He felt betrayed and untrusted, and turned to the drink. He'd also taken a trip to the Heart of Fire for some unknown reason, and came back scarred. It was around this point when Lorena turned up to put things back on track. Lorena, being somewhat the leader of the Bilge Rats, had heard of Duke's misdeeds, and decided to banish him from the tavern to sort his life out and ponder on his thoughts. She asked the help of her friend, Umbra, to rehabilitate him and help him get his life back on track. For a short while, it worked, and Duke began to see the light side of life again, spending his days on an island with Umbra, learning how to read and write and learning how to play the hurdy-gurdy. But Duke being Duke, the thrill of adventure rang in his ears once more, and with his newfound skills he set off on adventure one more time, much to the dismay of his new friend, Umbra. We're not entirely sure where Duke went, but occasionally he would turn up on different islands, talking about strange stone relics that he had found that were pointing him in the direction of something special. He eventually became scared and talked of being chased and had to flee, and his last location was standing on the shoreline of Old Salt's Atoll, staring out into the direction of what was later confirmed to be the Siren Kingdom, babbling about being drawn to a song and not making much sense, and then he merely disappeared. Roll on to Season 3 and the release of Pirate's Life. It was revealed that Duke was being lured by the Siren Queen. His adventures and dabbling with artifacts he knew little about led him down a path to disaster. Although Duke loved sending others on adventures, it seemed he wasn't very good at crafting his own. The Siren Queen meant for Duke to be one of her latest victims, and to be transformed into an ocean crawler. However, thanks to Duke's shaky alliance with the Masked Stranger, who was now also aligned with Davy Jones as part of the Dark Brethren, he was recognized, and Davy Jones offered him a bargain: serve the Dark Brethren, and he would be freed. He accepted, and now Duke finally had an alliance of people just like him, outcasts, people that were shunned by the way of the pirate's life, and people he could finally depend on. You might think Duke as being evil for doing this, but what is evil in Sea of Thieves? You could say that we are the evil ones for shunning and outcasting the members of the Dark Brethren, a man who was betrayed by his one true love, a man who wanted nothing more than to be a true pirate, and a woman who wanted to be the best blacksmith ever, all shunned, outcasted, purely for having grand ideas that were not accepted because it wasn't normal. They're not evil, they're just betrayed and angry, and as a result they made poor choices, which ended with them being cursed. If people had not treated them as they did, maybe they would have made better choices. Although Duke himself isn't cursed, he shares the Brethren's motives. Why should he conform to the ideology of the pirate's code when there is far more adventure to be had without it? Duke's story is a huge metaphorical question about Sea of Thieves. You might come here with the motives of the outside world, but what do you need to do to survive? Everyone needs a place to be accepted, and Duke has finally found his.